So it's currently 5:10. Just gonna make our way to the airport now. Tired as fuck. But this starts the trip to Greece. 4 days on my own. I'm gonna climb Mount Olympus. Hopefully get some sick footage and some good views. So I'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Thank you very much. So just got picked up by the hire car company, trying to charge me an arm and a leg for loads of other insurances, so just be careful of that. Paid for a full tank of fuel in advance, and just on the way to pick up the car.
Well, we just picked up the hire car. Got a little Citroen, 1 litre, doing the job though. So we're on the fucking left-hand side of the road right-hand side of the road in a right-hand drive car. Yeah, just getting involved. It's a bit fucking. They drive like nutters out here. Just put it that way. And the roads are like English back roads, so it's got to. Yeah, I think I just got to join in, get stuck in. Doesn't look like from the first 10 minutes of driving people really use their indicators, and I've just literally, there's 2 people ahead in the same lane. Like, what the fuck is this? These people are fucking nutters. Anyway, see you soon.
So the drive took about an hour and a half, and I approached the range, and as you can hear by my voice now, yeah, I've never seen anything this big. I've only ever seen Ben Nevis, so it's twice as big. So
fucking massive. These are the biggest mountains I've ever seen. The fucking camera's not doing this justice at all. They are fucking huge. Huge!
So I managed to eventually find my Airbnb after having the wrong address listing, which is fine. So I thought, right, first let's go get my bearings. I like to do that when I go to places I haven't been. Just walk around for a bit, get my bearings a little bit. So I just thought I'd head out for a bit of food before it got dark, and try out one of my favourite Greek dishes. For like a Coke, a chips and a pork gyros, it was something stupid, like only like €5 or less. So this is what you could see from my Airbnb window, gives you an idea of what things look like. So this night I decided to like actually try and see how the mountain trail looked, because it's like a good 35-minute drive while it was still a bit brighter, because I knew the next morning it'd be like super early. So I wanted to try and see in the daylight, but yeah, as you can see, visibility was pretty shit. So I drove back down, grabbed a quick coffee, and then headed off to my room, read a book and went to bed. So here we are on Thursday morning, driving up to Prionia, that's the right pronunciation. But I see this car and it's really weird because the past like hour I've spent on this road up and down, and the night before I saw no cars. And lo and behold, someone was in the car. Here he is, Raz, my Israeli friend. Shout out Raz if you're watching this. Raz was very ill-prepared, I've got to be honest. He was wearing jeans, a t-shirt, a shirt, some Nike trainers, like he was just going to like a cafe. And I was just like a bit kind of apprehensive to go with him, because obviously if stuff turned a bit sour, I had like clothes and stuff for bad weather, but he could have been in some serious trouble, but he was going up that mountain regardless, so I thought may as well go with him. So we joined forces and went up there. It turns out in the end that it was actually a real good laugh going with someone else, albeit I did this journey on my own to do it on my own. It was actually a good crack. But I found out I wouldn't be on my own, because other than Raz, we then had these dogs that came with us. These again turned out to be a bit of a blessing, because they kind of led the way a little bit and shown us the way, and also just kind of gave us company. We named them Zeus, Perseus, and then the final one we named Big Bear, which is very unoriginal, but after the Greek gods that apparently live on the mountain. So compared to the last clip, you can see it's kind of like turned to more of like an alpine environment. Got like the glazing of the ice, We're still like in the middle of the canyon, so you've got like this mist that overlooks the canyon, which looks kind of gloomy, just overhanging to the left. We just kept climbing higher and higher. The higher we went, the thicker the snow got. Also, the slippier the snow got. Raz videoed this little clip for me as we were climbing up at this point, give or take 2,000 meters. The walking itself was pretty easy. It got pretty steep at certain points, but we were both pretty fit, so we carried on walking at a pretty decent pace. The way that the walk went, there was lots of like areas where it like flattened out, like kind of viewpoints, I guess you could call it. As you can see to the right of the screen, there's like a stone bench. There's quite a lot of those every kind of like 25 minutes or so. Would have been interesting to see that in the sunlight, to see what the kind of views would have been down the gorge, but yeah, nonetheless, we're just enjoying the process. So here you can see there's this little passage we've just crossed over from the bottom left of the screen. We're kind of zigzagging our way up at this point. As you can see though, it is getting more snowy and snowy, and at this point I am thinking my feet are completely soaked. I just want to get my feet dry. One thing that I'll definitely be taking next time is a dry pair of socks. I learnt that lesson the hard way. So we got to the main refugee, and here he is, Zeus, having a bit of my peanut butter granola bar, making sure he's well fed for his services. But this is normally the busiest refuge on the mountain, open from May till kind of October time. But it was completely boarded and gated up, as no one was there. It was completely shut. We just used it as a little rest point. And then we started climbing up further and further, and this was just about 2,100 meters, and we were about to break cloud cover. As you can see, the sun's just trying to get through, and then suddenly it completely changed. So we got like the cloud inversion there, and then we just took it all in. So I didn't get any footage from coming out of the clouds because it was just so like surreal coming out that after so many hours to see then the clear skies and the cloud inversion. So looking back over where we've come from, the mountains that are underneath this sun to the left, that is on the opposite side to where we climb, which is well off the beaten track. So often the tourists will come up this side of the mountain range. You can't actually see the tallest peak at this point because it's behind me to the right over a mountain. So we were really like kind of wondering where the peak was. But this again was like a kind of another little rock edge with a great viewpoint. So I managed to get some sick little footage on my Insta360 camera here.
Yeah, be careful there. Come back up now.
So the final few hundred meters, it really turned into like full-on snow conditions. And this is where we both could have been well prepared. I mean, Raz was wearing, God knows what he was wearing, but he told me that his Nike trainers had rubber on the bottom that was stronger than tires, so he thought that was going to be okay. Anyway, moving on. If I did this again, I would have took an ice axe and some crampons just to be safe. But because I was traveling with only carry-on luggage, I couldn't get there. And then here we go at the top. Unfortunately, my 360 camera ran out, so this is the only footage I have. This was from the peak, Scala Peak. Now, right at the beginning of the clip, you can see, if I show you now. So this is from the viewpoint. You got Mythikas summit, which is the highest point in Mount Olympus to the left. That's where the Greek gods believed to have stayed and kind of had their thrones. But to get to that, you had to go down and up 50 meters of pure scrambling. And even in the summer, apparently, it's incredibly hard. So we just left it at that point there, took in the sights for half an hour, and then made our way down. And the next time you'll see me will be at the bottom, because unfortunately all my cameras and phones ran out. Right, it's 5.5 hours up, 4 hours down, finally back in the car, accompanied by my man Zeus. He came all the way up to the top and all the way back down to the bottom with us. So here we are, finally back at the gaff. And I thought I'd let my little mate Raz stay the night because he had nowhere to stay. Typical unprepared Raz. But there we go. That capped off the Thursday night. Right, so here we are, day 3. This is so come from Little Choro with Gotzia, and we're going to take the back road up the back.
Okay, so this is the start of the trail from Gotzia to Struja refuge. Hopefully we'll get out of the clouds, have some good views. But today I've got a massive backpack on. It's very heavy.
So this footage was taken just past the refugee, the emergency refugee that I was going to be staying at. You may not be able to hear, but the wind was picking up and the sun was setting down, so I was just trying to catch like a kind of a sunset over some sort of viewpoint that I found. But there wasn't much footage between the beginning and then because I actually fell over and hit my knee really badly. I had a little bit of kind of shock and adrenaline running through my system, but then I kept going. But this next clip is kind of showing you something that you need to be aware of in the mountains, and that the weather can change in an instant. So I was waiting here for the sun to go down, obviously bright conditions, and then suddenly obviously you can find yourself in different conditions. So what I didn't realise is that it was going to get extremely cold very quickly, and it was going to get very dark, and there was going to be a snowstorm with a minus 20-degree chill that night. So here I am walking back just from this viewpoint. I had to walk back a couple of 100 meters, but even if it was only a couple of 100 meters, I was like, probably shouldn't have done that really. Then we got back to the emergency refugee, which is pretty much a jail cell. I expected it just to be an empty room. I came fully prepared for it to be an empty room. But here again is just kind of a decision-making process. So the door here, when I opened it, it actually had one handle, and I nearly locked myself in. I had to take the door handle out and switch it over to the other side. So yeah, just obviously when you're on your own, you just got to make these decisions. You got to take your time. Good job I did kind of check that out. Otherwise, I would have locked myself out because there was nothing in that room. I would have been stuck. On reflection, I probably could have gathered some firewood and made a fire. But you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm fairly new to this, but I managed to rough it out anyway, and here we are the next morning. Good morning, everyone. Wow, I made it through the night. That was the fucking worst sleep of my life. Let's go catch the sunrise. We're just watching the sunrise, baby. Let's go, baby. So clear today. It's literally the clearest it's been, so I'm going to have a go at getting a bit higher, getting a bit of breakfast in me now, go a bit higher, and then come back down, and then that'll be my hiking done for this week. So you could hear from my voice then, I was like so not demoralised, but just tired. I was really actually enjoying the process. So I got some food in me. That video was like 10 minutes long. I started walking. So at first I was like, yeah, cool, conditions look good, conditions look okay, it's fairly warm, there's a bit of wind. I got quite lucky overall with the wind on the whole trip, which is one reason why I managed to do so much hiking. So then as we got straight up over the ridge, it became a lot colder. We got into some more alpine conditions, so I got another viewpoint here looking out to the northeast. Again, you've got the main peaks to my left over the ridge. You cannot see them at this point. This drop was actually a lot further than it looked, which is why I'm tiptoeing towards it. But the views are absolutely sensational. It's completely snow covered from this point up, as you can see the kind of line of snow. And then here we go. So this is one of the peaks, as you can see by the concrete structure. It was incredibly windy. Albeit the sky, as you can see there, is very clear. It was incredibly windy. Now, if I just pause it here for a second. You can see that ridge in the far right. The next step would be to go down to that ridge, go across the ridge, and then you have to like kind of scramble up a passage and then over the Muses Plateau, and that takes you to the bottom of the final ascent to the peak, highest peak. I decided at this point, without any crampons or ice axe, to just leave it at that point. Having gone to the highest point the day before, I felt kind of, you know, accomplished in my trip, and just played it safe really, and thought, yeah, with my head held high, that I can go back down knowing I've had a great kind of night on the mountain, accomplished that, and done some good hiking. And especially at that point, it was like 30 centimeters of snow with no crampons. It was, you know, pretty tough conditions just to hike in. So this was like a really sick little viewpoint that I found on my descent, looking out over the side of the passage into the gorge, and you got the sea to the left. I had to climb onto this sketchy little rock, as you can see. But yeah, that pretty much sums up all the footage that I got on the 360 camera for my trip. Hope you enjoyed. I'm just going to summarize everything now. So I thought I'd just make some final thoughts. This is now February, so 3 months on from the actual climb. So the video itself, it was made more as like a Instagram type vlog. I never really intended to actually pursue a YouTube kind of hobby, I guess. So the footage could have been more in landscape. There's a few things I could do better. I could get more footage, be more prepared in that way. So please bear with me. Obviously, it is a fairly new thing for me. Just touching on the actual climb itself, and just some things that I could have done a lot better. European charger, so I forgot one of those. Making sure my batteries were charged. More food, more water. Waterproof boots, Gore-Tex ones. Taking an ice axe and some crampons. These are all things that, looking back, I could have done, and I could have done differently. But in hindsight, at the time, I hadn't much experience with winter climbing. I've now been doing winter climbing for 3 months and have a lot better experience in terms of the different conditions and things like that. So overall, my experiences have, you know, got better over the last few months. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, though. Luckily, I came out the other side unharmed. But it was great fun doing that little trip. I had to research a lot of the trip online myself because there wasn't too much in-depth information in English. So feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below. Anything that you want to know about the trip, my kit, where I stayed, anything whatsoever. I feel after the amount of research that I've done before and after and during, that I'm pretty well clued up on the situation. But if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Appreciate you stopping by. And my next video will be a Crib Goch in Snowdon video that was filmed in late January, and then hopefully start getting out some more frequent content of all my kind of exploring adventures and things like that I get on. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you soon.